Hi, and welcome to Gary's Garage. Today, I'm starting on the first segment of the Cobra, and in the intro, I talked about, or the overview, I talked about dealing with this steering rack. So let's just take a look at what the issue is. Well, we did actually show that before, and the issue is that the geometry of the car that this came out of is different than this car, and it was designed for a car with smaller tires, smaller body, short wheelbase, and so the angle that the steering turns is farther than it needs to, and with this car the tires make contact with the body. So what we need to do is add these spacers, and I'll show you a little bit about that here. So here's the one of the spacers. I got 4 of these. I wasn't sure whether 1 per side is going to be enough. The movement is amplified by the geometry of the steering, but not too sure. These are not expensive. They're only a few dollars each. So I'm going to get some tools, reposition the camera, and we'll get this boot off, and let's see what it looks like. Let's get started by getting the boot off. Now, to get the boot off, we need to take, there's a clip on the on one end, and then I don't think it's factory, but there's what the English call a Julian, or what we call a worm clamp on this end. The other thing that's interesting about this particular rack is there's a pipe that goes from one side to the other, and I believe that that's a vent. And I think normally there's some vent space on the inside of the rack, but for some reason this one's on the outside. Here we go. Well, look at that. There's already one spacer already on this rack. So that's interesting. It's already added, someone's already added spacer and still not enough. So let's see if we can add another one. Now, interestingly enough, that's a thicker spacer than this one is. Makes me nervous. But there we go. So while that, so obviously what the spacer does is as the rack goes in, draws in, it just bottoms out. This is a good material. I think it's nylon. So it is slightly compressible, so it's not like a hard stop, won't damage anything. So let's see where we get at when we move this the other way. I'm going to be blocking the camera with the tire, aren't I? Yeah, here we go. So let's get this all the way. I'll use the steering wheel. Isn't this a dilemma? So I don't know if you can see, I've got the spacer that was on the steering rack, this green one, and then 3 of the white nylon ones, and it's just now not touching the fender, the inner fender. So I'm going to add a 4th one. I think that's going to be the right amount. Let's just take a look as I rotate that through. Yeah, and there I've got about a 1/2 inch of clearance, and that closed up. Obviously you can't see it, but that's closed up, and there we go. So I'm going to have to get 4 more of those to do the opposite side. So unfortunately that's not a completion on this project, but at least we've figured out that this is the right thing, and we just need a few more and we'll get it done. Alright, we're back at this. When I last left you, we didn't have enough spacers, so I went to my local guy and I was able to pick up 3 more. He didn't have 4. So we're going to install these. Too many in my hand. is get them just big enough. So go on. But one of the things that I noticed when I was had this off before, and I was turning the wheel, I noticed this shaft moving up and down. And I thought, well, that is not right. I took a video with my camera. I'll insert that right here. So what I had to do is I did a little research on these steering racks, Fox Body steering racks, and the backlash was not set right. So this is the backlash adjustment. So the pinion runs down through from the steering shaft down into the rack and moves the rack back and forth. And so you can adjust this backlash by loosening the outer nut and turning the inner nut. So I still think that there might be a little bit of wear on this rack, which, you know, is causing the need for the adjustment. So this will make it work for now, but I'm not too sure it's going to be a long-term solution. But this car is not going to get a lot of mileage, so it might do fine for a number of years. But eventually, I'm seeing that a replacement rack, which is not expensive, might be in order. So anyway, there we are. I'm just going to bring the camera in just a little closer here, and so that you can see. And I'll turn the input shaft a bit, and you can see the shaft moving in and out, but it's not moving up and down. And that's what we were needing. All right, so there we go. So now this is interesting. There we go. So just kind of rotate these around, and that should give us, with the three on the one side, one thing I noticed is that, well, I really shouldn't say I noticed, but you know, now that when we turn this all the way, we do not touch the inner fender. So let's just whip this back the other way. If it turned all the way to the right, we can see the tire to the inner fender, and there's actually enough clearance. We don't need a lot of clearance, and with the suspension hanging down, as the car's on the ground and loaded, these suspension arms will go up, and because the radius, this ball is lower than this joint, as the body of the car goes down, these angles will flatten out, pushing the hub farther away. It's usually designed, the lower control arms, to be level when it's loaded, and that'll push the tire the farthest away. And so I think we'll be okay. I may even go back and take the spacers out to get a little bit more steering angle if it's deemed to do so. So there we go. I just have to button up the clamp on this, and that's it for this job. So just a quickie. So we'll see you on the next one.